Your emotions are not your friends. They're your enemies, disguised as allies. Every feeling that floods through you right now, every impulse telling you what's right or wrong, what's true or false, it's a lie, and you've been believing it your entire life. But here's what nobody tells you about this deception. The stronger your emotional conviction, the further you are from the truth. The more passionate you feel about something, the less clearly you're seeing it. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly why your emotions have become the single greatest obstacle to your peace, your clarity, and your power. You'll see how what you've called being authentic has actually been a prison, and why the ancient Stoics knew something about human nature that modern psychology is only beginning to rediscover. Here's the problem. You wake up every morning believing your emotions are messengers. Anxiety tells you something's wrong. Anger tells you you've been wronged. Joy tells you something's right. Fear tells you to be careful. You've made them your advisors, your compass, your truth-tellers. This is the great lie of our time. We've been taught that emotions are data, that feelings are facts, that to ignore them is to ignore some essential part of ourselves. Trust your gut. Follow your heart. Honor your feelings. These aren't wisdom. They're the recipes for chaos. Think about the last time you were angry, really angry. In that moment, weren't you absolutely certain you were right? Didn't the world seem crystal clear? Your anger felt like justice, didn't it? Like moral clarity, like truth itself speaking through you. Now think about that same situation a week later. A month later. How clear was that truth then? This is the identity crisis at the heart of modern life. You believe your emotions connect you to reality, but they're actually the filter that distorts it. You think they make you more human, but they make you less free. You imagine they guide you toward what matters, but they drag you toward what doesn't. I remember watching Aurelius Maximus, the old philosopher with those steel blue eyes that seemed to cut through pretense, observing a young student who just received devastating news. The student was drowning in grief, convinced that his pain was proof of his love, that his suffering was somehow noble. Aurelius waited, watching, until the storm passed. Then he asked one question. Now that you can think clearly, what needs to be done? The student realized he'd spent 3 days lost in emotion when the situation required action. The grief wasn't love. It was self-indulgence. The pain wasn't noble. It was useless. Your emotions aren't evil, but they're not sacred either. They're biological responses that served our ancestors when life was simpler, threats were physical, and decisions were immediate. Run from the tiger. Fight the invader. Mourn the dead quickly and move on. But you don't live in that world anymore. Your threats are complex. Your decisions require nuance. Your challenges demand clarity, not passion. Yet you're still operating with emotional software designed for a world that no longer exists. Marcus Aurelius understood this when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't dismissing emotions. He was revealing their proper place, not as masters, but as temporary visitors, not as truth-tellers, but as biological events you observe, acknowledge, and then choose how to respond to. Think about Marcus Vale, the modern warrior with the distinctive jaw and that quiet intensity. He wasn't born with emotional control. He was born like you, reactive, impulsive, believing his feelings were facts. But he learned something that changed everything. He learned to create space between stimulus and response. When anger arose, he didn't suppress it or indulge it. He watched it. There's anger, he would note, the way he might observe clouds gathering, interesting, temporary. not him. When anxiety flooded his system before a difficult decision, he didn't let it drive or deny it. He acknowledged it. The body is preparing for challenge, he would think. Now, what does wisdom require? Quote, "This is the Stoic insight that destroys the modern myth. You are not your emotions. You are the consciousness that experiences them. You are not the storm. You are the sky through which storms pass." But this creates a profound shift in identity. If you're not your emotions, who are you? If your feelings aren't facts, what is true? If your passions aren't your compass, how do you navigate? This is where most people turn back. They'd rather suffer with familiar emotional chaos than face the uncertainty of a new way of being. They'd rather be victims of their feelings than masters of their minds. But you're still here, which means you sense something deeper. The transformation begins with a simple recognition. Every emotion has a beginning, a middle, and an end. They arise, peak, and pass away. They're temporary weather patterns in the sky of your consciousness. You don't have to chase them or fight them. You just have to stop identifying with them. When fear comes, you don't become a fearful person. You become a person experiencing fear. When anger arises, you don't become an angry person. You become a person witnessing anger. This isn't semantic game playing. It's the difference between being controlled by your emotions and being informed by them. Start with this. The next time a strong emotion hits you, pause. Before you react, before you explain it, before you justify it, just notice it. Interesting. There's anger here. Curious. Anxiety is present. I see you, sadness. Quote, "This creates the space where freedom lives, the gap between what happens to you and how you respond. In that space, you can choose. Not from emotion, but from wisdom. Not from reaction, but from reason. Not from chaos, but from your deepest values." The Stoics knew that peace isn't the absence of emotion. It's the presence of choice. It's the quiet authority that comes from knowing you can feel without being controlled, experience without being enslaved, acknowledge without being overwhelmed. You don't see it yet, but this is only the beginning.